Hey, everybody. We're talking about forecasting the future today of B2B tech, in any case, with forecasters. Roberta, how are you?
I'm great, Evan. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks so much for joining. You've had quite a journey in the enterprise tech analyst world, among others. Before that, maybe talk about your journey to Forecasters, a relatively new venture, I think. Um, how did Forecasters come about? What was the problem you were trying to solve?
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for the setup. Great questions. So yes, I started at Frost and Sullivan about a quarter century ago. It was a great experience. I actually began in the energy and environment side, and as an analyst, and then went up through a business unit leader. But sometime maybe about 7, 8 years ago, I was a partner at Frost and joined a different department on the brand and demand side, where worked a lot with helping uh, basically use the information and content to help clients promote their message. And
Hmm.
my focus there, and that's when my focus really switched to customer experience, employee experience. There's always tech, right? I mean, even in the energy environment side, we were talking about AI and manufacturing, 10, 15 years ago, of course, or more. But then it really pivoted to enterprise and communications and other related areas. So then back at the start of this year, I left there to join a new company called FourQuarters that has emerged from some of my colleagues who created this spinoff. Or I shouldn't say it's not a spinoff, but created this new organization as basically doing something similar. FourQuarters, and we'll get to Forecasters in a second, is a marketing agency that instead of just working with one company, we can represent a network of independent analysts and boutique firms. So that now there's a lot of different voices that are creating this content, and the messaging for our clients. In comes Forecasters. So Forecasters, written FOUR casters, as in the number four, because we look at content in four different ways. By focus, by region, by industry, and by analyst. But really, what it is a B2B content hub. It's a content platform for independent analysts and small boutique firms to showcase their work, showcase their research. We felt that the industry lacked a truly non-commercial third-party point of view based platform or location where
Hmm.
these analysts could promote their work. Yeah, you can promote on LinkedIn, you can promote on your own website, absolutely. Those things are great, they all have their place. But this is one where you can really get that really future forward, or rather, excuse me, future focused content that again doesn't really have that commercial aspect. We're not trying to ask anybody to promote a certain product or a certain brand. We want to know what you think the future holds for your market, and we thought this would be a great platform to help both the analysts that are in our network, but even just and really any independent B2B analysts to get some visibility.
Brilliant. And you just described the platform as future focused. So, how far in the future do you look? What does that mean? Is it a month, a year,
I
5 years out? It's difficult to forecast anything these days.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I'm just thinking of the deep seek roller coaster in the back of my mind, how that's gone up and back down and so forth in this last year, and what we thought would change and what it didn't change and what it maybe changed. Really, whatever the market would bear, whatever the analyst feels needs to be talked about. We have a lot of content, independent content that just really just looking at the rest of this year, that's looking at next year. We had some great pieces that were recently put on the site that are saying, hey, just pretend it's already 2027. You got to plan for 2030. Or, there's the 2038 problem. That's not that far away. What are you doing about that now? So, yeah, in some way, everything changes week for week. In other ways, it's easy to get mired in the day to day, and then you got to have a longer term view. So we're not putting an emphasis on one or the other. We just want it to be, we just want people to come to that site and feel like they're going to get a taste of the future.
Love it. And how do you decide or choose which analysts or topics make it onto the platform? And, what's the bar for quality in your point of view?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have an editorial board that will review all the content. We want it to be, again, future looking. We want it to be, professional in nature. We don't want anything that is inflammatory, that's, again, commercial, that's political, nothing that's going to be way out there. Focus on your industry, focus on those technologies, look at what the players are doing, give your opinion. That's all great. Give some data. We love data. But, we make it serious and B2B and business and professional. So really, that's what we're looking for. It can even be content that will be published elsewhere. There's a lot of great other content hubs out there, but they're usually a lot more restrictive. You can only publish on their site, for example, and for a reason. They're commercializing that platform. They want to be that first to market. They want to be the only to market with that particular content. This is not our intent. So we don't have that level of restriction, but of course, we don't want anything crazy on there either.
Got it. So you have quite an insider's perspective on the industry, 25 years at Frost and Sullivan. It's quite a run. So what makes the content here different from what you'd find on Gartner, Forrester, and the long laundry list of analyst firms out there?
Yeah, sure. No, those are good. Those are good examples. What we really wanted to, it's a couple different things. Partly it's really who's posting. So if you are, an analyst with Gartner, with Forrester, you have that, the strength of that enormous name and black platform behind you. You have that brand behind you. If you're an independent, if you're, they say, ex-Gartner, or you're launching your own, or you've been, a market industry expert for 20, 30 plus years, you might still want that additional visibility. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that we, two things. One is that we are promoting that independent analyst and that small boutique firm. So it doesn't just have to be analysts. We have, small firms that also will use, collaborate with us to help their visibility. The other thing too is that, we are opening the format and the topic. So, if you're at a Gartner, you're at a Forrester, wherever you are, you're going to have your program, you're going to have your plan for that vertical. This is the content you're going to create this year. This is what you're going to have to pay to access that content. These are the people who are allowed to publish it. We don't really have those restrictions. So if you have some great research, a podcast, even, yourself, or that you want to link back to, or a video or an infographic, we are not creating a set agenda. Yes, we have to publish in these categories. I mean, we definitely have, because it is very new. We just launched in March, I want to say.
Wow.
We definitely have, so it's very new. We already are publishing, we're publishing content every week. We've got, a great following. We have a lot of contributors across enterprise communications, cybersecurity, in these areas. We want to expand. We've got some financial services work on there. We've got some environment. We've got some healthcare work on there, but largely it's on the tech side right now. We want to expand. So we have some verticals and so forth, but we don't have, I guess, a script for the year on this is who's going to publish what and when. So.
Got it. Love the approach. Do you have any favorite articles or predictions that come to mind that might be making waves? Don't want you to pick any favorite children.
Oh, it's so hard. I mean, the last one I mentioned, we had Dr. Chase Cunningham, aka Dr. Zero. He published that really cool article on basically the one that was fascinating guy. I don't know if you know him, but background in military background, always in cybersecurity. So he's published some great stuff. I actually just interviewed him for the site as well. So we have an interview that talks a little bit about his background, but he's also published content as well. He's recently written a book. So he's got some great stuff on there. Jonah Till Johnson with company, she's the founder of Emerities. She's got that really cool article about the 2038 problem, which is basically Y2K, but a lot less prepared, just for the snippet of it. I thought that was quite interesting. Seth Fetter, he's a cybersecurity and healthcare market and analyst. Yeah, he's got a great article in there about how different countries are using technology to improve their healthcare outreach and
Oh,
outcomes,
wow.
and experiences, both provider and patient experiences. So so there's a good diversity. Those are three that come to mind. But like I said, we're putting new stuff up every day or every week.
Wonderful. So beyond being a great destination or social club for smart people, how do you track success? And, is it views, engagement, business impact, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, all of the above. Definitely views, definitely engagement. Right now, we're really courting the analyst community. We're trying to get a snowball effect going and saying, "Hey, this is cool. Get on board. Help us promote this." So I think the volume and content and so forth, but definitely views. We want to make sure that then the industry starts reading it too, right? And so it's that combination of the two. So it's pretty early, but your standard website metrics, of course, are things we're going to look at. As well as social media. Yeah.
Got it. And you've, of course, worked with who's who of major brands over your career. How do the classic question of keeping analyst voices authentic when there's a sponsor involved? What's your philosophy or your approach there?
Well, if there is a sponsor involved, we don't want it to be front and center. It's not going to be. There's no recommendation. So that's what I mean when I keep harping on the fact that it's not commercial. So if we're going to have a content on there, it's not going to be. There's never going to be a recommendation. Probably not even really. The only mentioning of companies is going to be in the context of what they're doing, if it's interesting, more of a journalistic take, right? Comparison. Maybe some examples, but we don't really want sponsored content on there, so to speak, like from the analysts. We really want their fresh new content. Now, we're analysts, we reuse stuff, we have insights. You're on a project, you get some great insights, you're going to maybe republish those insights, package them, and say, hey, this is the really cool stuff that's going on. But make it really cool stuff about really cool stuff that's going on. Don't make it about what the sponsor did. That's not something that we want on the site. There's plenty of other sites for that. Put that on LinkedIn.
Yeah, the whole internet, basically.
Exactly.
You work with so many thought leaders out there and analysts, media, journalists. I mean, what are the biggest challenges from your point of view when trying to break through the noise and get your message out there, get seen, get heard? It's pretty chaotic, pretty noisy.
Yeah. So, especially these days with AI, right? And I'm sure you have the same as you keep up with the market. You get the same kind of cringe factor, that uncanny valley when you start reading something and you see the dash or you see the list of three things and you automatically know it's AI, right? So I think a big thing is the human voice. So knowing that, writing it, communicating it such that it feels authentic, feels genuine, feels human. I mean, that's really important. And I know it's getting harder. I mean, most of the things that are coming to my mind, like, used to be, you would say the top three are great ways to do this. Well, that now can start to sound a little artificial. So you got to really be careful how you present these things, how you present your work.
Totally.
So yeah, I think the most important thing is to be genuine, to be human. Now, to get to that point where they read you and know that you're genuine and human, that's its own challenge. And definitely if you're an analyst starting out or you don't have the name brand recognition, you might put a little bit of legwork into that. But I think that's just the most critical thing, is just really write well.
Right. Well, it's becoming more and more difficult with AI to figure out what's real and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of trends, any particular B2B trends that might be overhyped at the moment? What's nonsense versus what's real, or what's your take on the landscape and all the keywords that we're all following these days?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. And it depends if you're talking about from like the industry perspective or the marketing perspective. I kind of have a bit of a foot in each. I have a couple toes in the marketing side. Most of me is on the industry side. The volume question, right? If you keep pumping up volume, and that's whether you're talking about, it applies to marketing, somebody putting out a ton of content, but maybe doesn't resonate, doesn't have the value, or isn't targeted enough. or somebody with a great dashboard that they're using in their contact center, but they're filling it with a bunch of information that nobody's going to be looking at, or, is overwhelming. So I think the volume question, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should, right? I'm not trying to get to Jurassic Park here, but just so volume for volume's sake, overwhelming the user, again, whether it be a customer or a prospect or any user of marketing content, user of a dashboard, a user of technology, with insights and information they don't need, and really sorting out and getting to the kernels that they do need. I think that's an important thing. I know we see this a lot on the EX side, employee experience side, where you're giving your employees a ton of different tools, and they're still going to go use Slack or or Gmail to get something done. You're like, no, you got to use this. And that, I think, it's just a communication challenge. It's not connecting. It's not understanding what they're trying to use it for. So I think that's sort of one of the overhyped things, which I think we're starting to recognize, though. I mean, I don't think this is necessarily groundbreaking. I think marketers recognize this. I think your top companies, your top suppliers of technology and solutions are recognizing this, insight over volume. But I still think there's kind of a little bit of a whiz bang temptation there that I can do it, so I'm going to present it.
Yeah, lots of shiny objects being chased and lots of overused buzzword. What's your least favorite overused buzzword? I'll start game changer. If I read another press release about a game changer, I'm going to change the channel or change the game, but you must have a few of those that you
that's a good one. Game changer, that's a good one. I think dynamic along similar still is the one that always hops into my mind. There's so many.
Too many. So where do you guys anticipate going next? Any new features or ideas on the horizon? I've looked at the site. Great written content, maybe video content, or what are your thoughts on things you could be doing?
Yeah, we're still working out some of the ways that we can support and promote videos, for example, directly on the site, or other types of multimedia. Right now, we're certainly able to link back to somebody's video, let's say, or other aspects of multimedia. But we're still working out that functionality. So we got, we got the articles, the blog posts, infographics, the static stuff's down. The other stuff, it's going to be linked. So that's good on technology side. I definitely, the site's going to evolve over time. Right now, as I mentioned, it's FourCasters because of those 4 areas. And so you can sort by those 4 areas. I think over time, we're going to do more with those 4 areas so that you can go to the enterprise communication page. You can go to the cybersecurity page. You can go to the healthcare med tech page. But that, we want to have a certain critical mass of content before we can start doing that. So that's on the functionality side. On the content side, again, we've got a lot of enterprise communication, cybersecurity stuff. I think in the next year or so, we really want to double down on finance and healthcare, whether that be services into like fintech or, new healthcare markets, or even expanding a little bit beyond that. And again, we are using an analyst network. So we are using, there are, at this point already, we have dozens of wonderful independent analysts and a few small boutique firms that we work with. That's going to grow. That's going to expand on the 4 quarters side. And that's just going to enable us really to, to provide our services to a broader audience. So I think FourCasters is going to kind of grow in parallel with that and reflect that over time.
Interesting. So outside of the analyst world, there's a universe of people like me who are content creators, podcasters, other commentators, TV hosts, all kinds of things. What role, if any, do you see for folks like that in this model?
Well, I feel like there's a real merging. I mean, you're an influencer. You talk to a lot of people about technology, about AI, about, where things are going. I'd love to have your content on our site. You're
great.
You're an influencer. Yeah, I mean, that is
sign me up. I'm in. So happy to share. It's always good for promotional purposes. Absolutely. And would love to play a part. So look forward to the journey.
Wonderful. Well, that would be great. And yeah, and as we see analysts, I mean, themselves are becoming. I think I said influencer. I want to pull back a little bit on that term because it has certain connotations, but they have to become more multimedia, more media,
Mm.
savvy. And we see a lot of analysts, a lot of great guys, people out there have their own, podcasts tend to be more specific to a vertical industry, for example. But yeah, on the media side, I think that's it's a great, like you said, it's a great marriage. It's a great ability to co-promote and co-educate. Right, bring some new ideas to the table.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing an update. Can't wait to watch your progress. And it'll be a busy year this year in the analyst world, back to back to back analyst meetings. So good luck with that all.
Thank you, Evan. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone for listening and watching and sharing. And be sure to check out our new TV show now on Fox Business and Bloomberg at techimpact.tv. Thanks everyone.